What's up, everybody? In this video I wanted to just give you, this is a quick video, I just want to give you my experience with an antibiotic called Ciprofloxacin, or otherwise known as Cipro. I took this for 5 days a few weeks ago. It was prescribed, or I bought some as a result of a UTI. So I'll just give you a quick little bit of background. I'm a very healthy person, never really get sick. And I was in Thailand a few weeks ago, and I started going to the bathroom a lot, going to pee like every 20 minutes. And I was like, this is kind of weird, and didn't really understand why. Anyway, started to feel progressively worse, and went to the pharmacy here, told them that I thought I had a UTI, and they just gave me these antibiotics. They gave me Cipro, and I started taking them, not really thinking much of it, because I kind of just assume that antibiotics are safe, right? Because they're prescribed so frequently, and I've never really heard of any bad things happening to somebody as a result of taking antibiotics. It's not on the news. I've never met anybody who had that problem, but after I started taking Cipro, I was in pretty bad shape from the UTI. I thought I would try and overcome it naturally through dry fasting, which is where fasting's supposed to be very beneficial, very helpful, healthy for you, and it's supposed to help your body overcome any sort of illness. But the problem with the UTI is that if you're building up bacteria in your urinary tract and your bladder, the reason they say to drink lots of water and drink cranberry juice and all that is because it helps to rinse out the bacteria, to flush it out every time you go pee, which is why your body makes you go to the toilet so often, because it's the body's way of flushing out the bacteria. So I thought I would dry fast. So obviously the infection got worse and worse. My back started hurting, which matched up with some of the symptoms of a kidney infection. So I was really scared. So I was like, okay, time to get antibiotics. Went to the pharmacist, started taking Ciprofloxacin, and started feeling better from the symptoms of the UTI. About, I would say in under 24 hours, I started feeling much better. Cipro itself has some side effects that I was not aware of, that I only became aware of after I started taking it. It has, so it's something called the Fluoroquinolone, I want to say. Yeah, Fluoroquinolone, right? And apparently these are really intense antibiotics that have a ton of side effects, right? There's reports of people becoming paralyzed after taking these, after having, they take ciprofloxacin and they become, they have psychosis for the rest of their life. They have weird muscle spasms, muscle twitches, and there are enough reported cases of this where it's been statistically linked that there's a connection between this category of antibiotics, fluoroquinolones, and all these health problems. So I realized this I only realized this after I finished taking the actual drug itself. As I was taking it, I noticed that I felt kind of dumb. It made me feel kind of not really high, just kind of stupid. Almost like how you would feel, I kind of want to say after taking, let's say, Benadryl, for example, but not necessarily as tired. So I felt really dumb, and I make a lot of videos, so I had to deal with this feeling of stupidity, really, as I was making the videos. It was very challenging for me. Really nothing more than a minor inconvenience, but what I would say is the most harmful side effect that I experienced from ciprofloxacin would be, I don't want to say suicidal thoughts, but very depressing thoughts, right? I remember lying in bed as I'm trying to rest and recover from this, and just getting so sad about nothing really in general, not necessarily emotional, just very sad and depressed, and just very negative mental state, very negative inner self-talk about, I don't know, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was really bad, and I could not wait to stop taking it. So the 5-day course of Cipro ended, and I noticed that the morning that I did not take it, I was very agitated. I was very irritated for some reason. I was so it was almost like I was going through withdrawal effects. So I looked up online ciprofloxacin withdrawal, or like this Cipro cause withdrawal or something like that. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but I think it might be possible. I don't know, but anyway, the point is that I felt really bad after taking it, and then after I stopped taking it, I also felt really bad. It did clear up my UTI extremely quickly, so it was effective, but I think the risks of taking Cipro, unless you have like a very serious bacterial infection, I think it's not worth it. I think what you should do is you should push for another type of antibiotic. And interestingly enough, about a week or so later, I ended up getting another UTI. So, don't need to go into exactly the reasons why I got these, but it was my fault. It was stupid. And I ended up getting another UTI, and I could tell it was coming on because I was getting the same symptoms. Like I was getting back pain. I had to go pee like every 15 minutes. And I knew I would have to go back to the pharmacy and ask for more antibiotics, and I was kind of scared about that because I didn't want to. It was such a negative experience for me to take them, despite the fact that it had like fixed my problem. So I went back to the pharmacy. Actually, this time I went to a clinic and I got a blood test because I was at this point I was scared that I had sepsis. I was a mess, right? My mind was not in the right place. So I went to a clinic. I had a panic attack. I thought I was going to die. And I was like, okay, like this is too, I can't just go back to the pharmacy. I have to actually go to the doctor. I didn't want to go to the doctor. I didn't want to spend the money. I didn't want to like go to the hospital or anything like that. But I was like, I also don't want to die in Bangkok, like 50 years too early. So I go to the doctor, they give me a blood test, and they're like, yeah, your levels of bacteria are very high in your blood. I guess what they measure is a type of like antibody that your body produces as a result of an infection to like fight the infection. They can't actually measure how much bacteria, but they saw that those levels were very high. And they're like, we're going to give you an antibiotic. I was like, okay, fine, but no Cipro. And they like, it was two ladies, they kind of looked at each other and they're like, yeah, but like that's all we have and like this and that. And I was like, no, I'm not taking it again. I do not want to take it anymore. Like give me something else, like whatever else you have, give me something. So they ended up giving me something called Rocephin, I want to say. Let me just look this up really quick. Yeah, Rocephin, which is, I don't know, it's another type of antibiotic, and it has much fewer side effects than Cipro does. So I was very happy about that. I would say that it probably took a little bit longer to clear up the UTI this time, but only by a day or so. So by 2.5 days in, I was already feeling much better, much less side effects as well. The reason I think they prescribed Cipro right off the bat for a UTI is because somehow the way ciprofloxacin works is that it's more effective for bladder infections or kidney infections or something. But I didn't want to risk it. I'd read too much bad stuff about it, too many long articles, and you know how it is when you research things online. You kind of psych yourself. You just get inside your own head and things spiral out of control. You start to get very anxious, and I didn't want to deal with that anymore. So I did have to pay. It was much more expensive. I think for the Cipro I paid like $10, and for the Rocephin I ended up paying maybe around $65, $70. But in my opinion, it's worth $65, $70 to not have to worry about being paralyzed for the rest of my life because I took an antibiotic. Anyway, just wanted to relate my experience. One of my subscribers thought it might be a good idea for me to make this video. So that is what I am doing. I guess if you guys have any questions about my experience on Cipro, let me know. But again, like I said, in summary, I would not recommend this for this. This should not be, and I'm not a doctor, blah, 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 but like this should not be your first choice for an antibiotic. And just because antibiotics are prescribed regularly, that does not mean they are all safe. And this is something, unfortunately, I had to learn the hard way. I'm just very lucky that I didn't have any real negative side effects other than just feeling kind of depressed for a few days. Okay, so hope that was helpful for all of you future UTI infection recipients out there. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Peace.